Get ready for the action, because Novak Djokovic is watching from the side amid major Grand Slam prize money disputes. Djokovic admits he is observing the situation closely while still firmly supporting players demanding a stronger position in the tennis ecosystem. We break down what this means for the future of the sport right now.
Here's a simple way to protect your phone without stress. This ALEN 3-pack comes with tempered glass screen protectors, camera lens protectors, and an installation frame for an easier, cleaner fit. It's clear, case-friendly, and built to help guard against scratches and everyday bumps. Check the link in the comments to get it on Amazon.
Next up, we dive into the growing movement surrounding the Grand Slam boycott calls. Aryna Sabalenka has floated the idea that players will refuse to compete at a major tournament if they are not guaranteed a significantly higher percentage of the revenue generated from events like the Australian Open and Wimbledon. Find out exactly what players are fighting for and the stakes involved. We continue our deep dive into the player power struggle as Coco Gauff weighs in on her own potential to boycott a Grand Slam, highlighting the fight for lower-ranked players. Then, we hear from Jannik Sinner, who has issued a stark warning about the lack of respect players feel from the slams and the ongoing struggle for better player standing. Finally, Alexander Zverev shares his unfiltered thoughts on Jannik Sinner's performance and the current hierarchy within the top players. Zverev discusses the significant gaps he sees between players, including himself, Alcaraz, and Djokovic, and what this means for the upcoming Italian Open. Don't miss this analysis. Tune in now for all the latest. Novak Djokovic has signaled his support for players demanding a boycott over Grand Slam prize money disputes, while clarifying his role by stating he is observing from the sidelines. The high-stakes negotiations surrounding player compensation at major tournaments are intensifying, with top athletes voicing strong opinions on the matter. Aryna Sabalenka has stated that players are prepared to refuse participation at a major event if they do not receive a higher percentage of the revenue generated by tournaments like the Australian Open, French Open, Wimbledon, and the US Open. Coco Gauff has expressed a willingness to boycott a Grand Slam if there is sufficient backing, and Jannik Sinner has voiced dissatisfaction, believing players are not receiving the respect they deserve within the tennis ecosystem. Despite his history with the Professional Tennis Players Association, PTPA, which he co-founded in 2021, and his previous announcement to step away from it due to governance concerns, Djokovic affirmed his backing for players securing a stronger position in the ecosystem. He commended the leadership shown by figures like Sabalenka, emphasizing the need for leaders to understand the nuances of tennis politics for the benefit of all. Djokovic made it clear that while he supports the players and a stronger player position, he will not be spearheading any boycott efforts, admitting, "I am watching more from the side, to be honest. I haven't been part of those meetings and conversations." This discussion follows recent developments, including the French Open increasing its funding by 9.5%, but players reportedly receiving under 15% of the revenue share. The prize money for Wimbledon remains unannounced. This sentiment echoes past actions, including Djokovic's previous stance and the PTPA's legal actions against the ATP and WTA Tour in March 2025 over alleged anti-competitive practices. Novak Djokovic has publicly voiced support for Aryna Sabalenka following her suggestion that tennis players could consider boycotting the 4 Grand Slam tournaments as a means to fight for their rights. This sentiment follows a collective effort by a group of top ATP and WTA players who co-signed a letter in March 2025, demanding increased revenue sharing, contributions to welfare schemes, and greater decision-making power regarding scheduling from the tournaments. This player cohort recently expressed deep disappointment over the French Open's prize money announcement, noting that despite an increase in the prize pot, the players' share of revenue had actually decreased. They are now advocating for a 22% share of Grand Slam tournament revenue, comparable to joint ATP and WTA 1000 events. In response to these discussions, WTA number 1 Sabalenka floated the idea of a boycott, stating, "I feel like the show is on us. I feel like without us there wouldn't be a tournament and there wouldn't be that entertainment. I think at some point we will boycott it, yeah. I feel like that's going to be the only way to kind of fight for our rights. Coco Gauff also discussed potential boycotts, emphasizing that their primary goal was to support lower-ranked players struggling financially. ATP #1 Jannik Sinner has expressed a lack of respect from the slams, noting that a year after the initial letter, they are still far from achieving their desired outcomes. While Djokovic has not explicitly endorsed a boycott, the 24-time Grand Slam champion has consistently advocated for players' rights, having previously headed the ATP Player Council and co-founding the Professional Tennis Players Association, PTPA, in 2020. Speaking in Rome, Djokovic affirmed his unwavering support for players and the stronger position within the ecosystem. He praised Sabalenka's willingness to engage with the dynamics of tennis politics, stating, "Players know that they'll always have my support, and that's all. I'm glad that there is willingness from the leaders of our sport, like Sabalenka, to really step up and really understand the dynamics of how the tennis politics works. That's true leadership for me, and I think she needs to maintain that. I salute that." Djokovic acknowledged that he has been less involved in ongoing negotiations with tournament organizers, but reiterated his support for players. He stressed that the current climate demands action, arguing that the players' position in the tennis ecosystem is inadequate. He highlighted the financial struggles of lower-ranked players, noting that the sport lacks financial guarantees for those struggling, positioning tennis as a unique global sport in this regard. Djokovic concluded that the fragmented structure of the sport complicates matters, calling for all stakeholders, players, tour, and governing bodies, to collaborate to define a sustainable formula for the future of tennis. Novak Djokovic is set to make his debut on the clay court tour less than 3 weeks before the start of Roland Garros, competing in the Masters 1000 in Rome against Croatian Dino Prismic. This highly anticipated match is part of the second round of the ATP Rome 2026 tournament. Djokovic holds a historical advantage in their head-to-head record, having secured a victory in their only previous encounter at the first round of the 2024 Australian Open, where Prismic pushed him to the limit, ultimately taking a set score of 6-2, 6-7-5, 6-3, 6-4. The match is scheduled for this Friday, May 8th, commencing around 15:00 hours local time, 14:00 in the Canary Islands, on the third shift of the Campo Central. For fans wishing to watch the action live, streaming options are available. The match can be viewed live in Spain through Movistar Plus. Additionally, subscribers to the Movistar Plus app and those with a Tennis TV subscription can access the stream through those platforms. Bet365 is also promoting access to the match via its streaming service. Users can gain immediate access to live matches in the live section by registering, making a first deposit of at least $5, and watching across any device without the obligation to place a bet. Alexander Zverev has continued to voice strong opinions following his recent loss to Jannik Sinner at the Madrid Open, sparking considerable debate within the tennis community. Post-match, Zverev suggested a significant disparity in the current field, asserting there is a large gap between Sinner and the rest of the competition, and also between Sinner, Carlos Alcaraz, and Novak Djokovic. However, this assessment was not universally accepted, with figures like Andy Roddick challenging the perceived magnitude of the gaps between the top players. Ahead of the Italian Open, Zverev reiterated his perspective when speaking to the tournament's official YouTube channel regarding his 2026 Masters 1000 campaign. He stated, "I've been losing to one man, but everybody has been losing to him." Zverev credited Sinner, who he described as being at a level or two above everyone else and playing flawlessly, for his dominance. While acknowledging disappointment with his own performance in the Madrid final, Zverev conceded that Sinner had been unbeatable. Zverev's comments suggesting he belongs on the same tier as Alcaraz and Djokovic have drawn criticism from various observers. Shifting focus to the upcoming tournament, Zverev is determined to bounce back from his Madrid defeat with a strong showing in Rome, a venue where he has secured 2 previous victories. Expressing his affection for the city, Zverev remarked, "I love this place. I love Italy in general. I love the old city of Rome, and I just enjoy my time here, which always helps when you are on the tennis court. Zverev has received a bye into the second round of the Italian Open. His first match is scheduled against the winner of Daniel Altmaier and Zhang Zhizhen. Altmaier defeated Zhizhen in straight sets, 4-6, 7-6, 6-4. Zverev holds a 3-1 head-to-head advantage against the pair. The match is set for Friday, May 8th, with a spot in the third round on the line, setting the stage for a potential improvement in their on-court record.